How the hell is everybody doing? Happy Friday to you. I'm starting at 4. I'm going ahead and throwing this up because of for whatever reason. It's because I couldn't schedule it like I normally do anyway, I digress. So I'll be coming up 4. I'll probably be checking in from time to time and hop on over and have some fun with the chat. So bear with me. I'm going to get everything set up on my end and then get ready to go live on the radio. Nah, I can't do this song. I'll do this one. This is Stone Cold. I don't know if I can do this. Let me try and find another playlist here. All right, I'm going to get started here in just a few minutes. I've got to wait to go live on the radio till exactly 4 o'clock, so I'll be doing a transition onto there. How is everybody doing? Happy Friday. I'm going to have to redo all this once the live show starts, so I'm going to save all the hellos and all that fun stuff until we go on the air. And I don't want to get a whole lot into what we're going to be talking about because I don't have any major plans. If there's something you specifically want me to cover, I'll be more than willing to do that. That's for sure. And also, we're going to talk about, I found, it's new to me. This is not a new herbicide, so I thought we'd go ahead and talk about it for POA control. I'm not seeing anything out there as far as availability. It may be coming soon, but apparently this product's been in production since 2009. So I don't know. I figured we'd talk about it a little bit. It's kind of difficult to find just a bunch of intensive information about it. So I don't know. We'll kind of wing it. The rest of it's going to be winged because I just really walked in the door and I had today was a horrific day. But it was positive. Everything's positive. You know, this whole week has kind of been culminating into this odd kind of deal, and it started last Friday, and I have a feeling it's going to continue on just a little bit longer. So, you know, I wish I could put more time into preparing for this, but right now I can't. We just have too much going on at work that I have no control over. And when you lack control over a situation, sometimes you just have to be responsive. And so, unfortunately, that's what I'm having to do right now with the radio, is be a little bit responsive. But it'll all be all right somehow, some way. If there's a will, there's a way, right? And everybody's motivated to get all this done, strike these deals, ink these deals, and get back into the swing of things at 1,000%. And we're almost there. It's so close. I feel like it's so close. So I think, I'll just leave it at that. I know I'm being a little cryptic. I can't get into just the ins and outs and details of it. Thank you, Mr. Nate Krez. Unnecessary, sir. Fist bump to you too. I completely forgot it's my birthday on Sunday. Completely forgot. My wife reminded me last night, actually, asking me what I wanted to do for my birthday, and I was like, oh yeah, that's coming up. That's weird. This is the second year in a row I forgot my birthday. Somebody said this is old Alan Hayne music here. Frat Boy Friday on a Labor Day weekend. If I'm doing it on YouTube, I can't do that. So, I can't do Frat Porch Friday as much as I want to. Although you turn 30 and you're still listening to all that metal music, all your Weekend Nacho or whatever else you listen to. Have you ever heard of that? I think they're called like grunge core or scream core or something. It's a band called Weekend Nacho. Is that your favorite there? Welcome aboard, Chad. Hop on in the Discord and check things out. Thanks, Steve. Yeah, that is thank you, Lushy. That is true. The older you get, the more I wish I could forget. And this is without a doubt, I mean, the craziest. Look at you, Kurt. Happy birthday to you too, sir. This has been the craziest week. Really, I'd say the last month, over a month now. We've been going through this huge internal restructuring thing, and it is just, it's about to kill me. My wife told me yesterday, it doesn't matter if you get any of this done if you die first. I was like, man, you were right. You were right. So last night, I took the time. I went to bed relatively early. I went to bed at 12:30. I did not set an alarm. I woke up at 7:30 in the middle of a full-fledged anxiety attack, which is always fun. And you get up and you do it all over again. All right, bear with me. Here in 3 minutes, we're going to be going live on the radio. So I'm kind of chit-chatting until we get to that point, because I got to turn on the Grass Factor character when I go live on the air. Happy birthday to you, Mr. Nate Krez. What up, Real Dad? Hey, your comment section was fuego last night. That was awesome. I had a great time with that. And in fact, I had such a good time with it that when I got together with the rest of the Carbon Earth team today, I had everybody on board read that comment thread because it was that special. The whole Capri Sun comment about, I could have puked. I was laughing so hard. Hey, I can get down with this. What is this? Banana Split by Brasco. This is what I need on this Friday. Yeah, you're right, Chad. Look at that Turf Metal Tuesday. That's what I'm talking about, Billy G. That would be a good one, wouldn't it? Chad, no, you're right. And my wife, we have a running joke that she kicks my ass once a week whether we need it or not, and it's kind of she keeps me in check 100% because I've talked about it before. I get very obsessive compulsive and exceedingly competitive about the things I'm doing, and so anyway, it's a nice ground check. All right, here in 15 seconds, I'm going to be going live on the radio, so y'all bear with me. I'm going to restart the music, and let's get this show on the road. What's up, everybody? Happy Friday. For the next 2 hours, I'm going to be your host. My name is Matt. Sometimes they call me the Grass Factor Martin. Coming to you live on this funky Friday from Knoxville, Tennessee. Knox Vegas. Peachy, clean, free, frisky, funky Friday. I hope everybody's got a big weekend plan. I'm going to bring it up again, even though I was just kind of doing this off the air. But on the air, you might as well repeat it, right? I forgot it's my birthday this weekend. My wife reminded me. She takes care of me. One day I'll learn how to take care of myself, but I can swear my wife wasn't around. I may starve to death because I just completely forgot to eat. I was supposed to do what? So it is what it is, but you know, what do you do? What do you do? So a couple things I was going to be going over today. Number one, I figured we talk about a kind of it is a non-released, it is unreleased herbicide for POA control, POA management. And I came across in a study, it was talking about this specific active ingredient. I'd never heard of it before, and so I started doing a little digging into it real quick, just kind of breaking into the Google sphere. And what I noticed was that it is legit. It's still in production. It's still going through testing for whatever reason, developed by Helena Chemical. And they're kind of using it in conjunction and side by side and as another management strategy to go along with methiolazone. Was that how do you say that? Methiazolone, POA cure is what I'm trying to say. POA cure. Where is it? I know I wrote that active ingredient down somewhere. Maybe I didn't. POA cure is the other one I was thinking about, though. So I thought we would look into this. Oh, yeah. Here's one. I found a trade name for it, but again, I don't know a whole lot of specifics about it. And what's interesting about this mode of action is that it's actually a urea analog, which is just kind of a neat little gig there. Bear with me here. I just got an email I got to reply to. Sometimes you want to turn it off, and then sometimes you can't, and that was one of those ones. It's part of that whole back end deal we got going on. Methylzolin was the one I was trying to think of. So I thought we'd talk a little bit about that. And then, I kind of want to hear from everybody else. I mean, it's Friday. I didn't get to talk to Lushy last Friday. So hopefully Friday at 5 o'clock, Lushy can call in and give us a little bit of an update on where he is. I know he's out. He's out at the beach. I had some pictures in my inbox out there earlier, and I was like, boy, that looks pretty sharp where you are, Lushy, considering where I am right now. If anybody wants to play along at home on video, of course, you can go to YouTube, type in the Grass Factor, and you'll see I'm live streaming this as well. We got some questions coming in, so let me kind of bring down this music and let's start rolling in some questions and see what we come across here, huh? How about that? So kind of this first one that came in, I'll kind of take this in the order that they came, and we'll just play it by ear and see what happens. Number one, Eric E said, what soil temperature do I apply my preem this fall to help control Poa annua, Kentucky bluegrass lawn in northern Utah? Any other tips for Poa A? So, Eric, this is kind of the thing, is that as long as there's adequate moisture, Poa annua can germinate really as long as we're above 55 degrees Fahrenheit in soil temperature. So, when you typically want to apply that, I'd say when you make that big transition consistently from like 80F down to 70F, where you're losing daylight hours, it's consistently on a cooling trend, and your average, say over like a 3, 4, 5 day period, is in that 70 degrees. And if you got any, if you're going to be watering extensively or whatever the case may be, that's when, in my opinion, it's time to go ahead and put it down. Because if it's an ideal time for you to be seeding tall fescue or seeding Kentucky bluegrass or seeding ryegrass, then it's an opportune time for your Poa annua to be germinating too. It's the same. It's a cool season grass. It's a very aggressive establisher. So normally what you would say is like, oh, I plan on seeding in 2 weeks. If that's what your normal mindset would be, then that would be the appropriate time to get down your preem to handle your Poa annua. So I think about it from here where I'm at. I'm in the transition zone, Knoxville, Tennessee, right? And if I'm thinking like, my start date on seeding is definitely going to be September 15th this year. Okay, but I also have warm season lawns here too, and those are the ones I try and keep Poa annua out of. I could easily look at that and be like, man, if I'm going to start on September 15th, I need to be getting down my pre-emergent now. So you have to ask yourself the same time there. I don't know anything about northern Utah. I know it's kind of like desert and mountainous and all kinds of extreme temperatures in between. In fact, I think I saw you already had a freezing temperature on the forecast. So O'Connor Ward is up there, my favorite Canadian, and he has sent me a screenshot of his weather forecast. It looks like he's got freezing in the forecast. So in that regard, in my opinion, I would say you're late. Go ahead and get it down now. Hurry, because you're late. Because the whole goal with a pre-emergent is that you want to get it down before it emerges. So it's not really a soil temperature you're looking for, because it can germinate across a wide variety of soil temperatures. What you're looking for is a trend. If you are weather trending towards temperatures that are more conducive for cool season grass growth, and we know that optimum to be somewhere around an average of like high end 85. What is the average temperature? I think it's 66 degrees. I think it's something like that. The average between your daytime and nighttime temperatures is at 100% efficiency if you're at like 66 degrees. So you want to get it down before that. I know it's going to be 98 degrees this weekend, But how cold is it going to be? And how cold is it going to be over the next week? How cold is it going to be over the next 2 weeks? It's not just one day that you're looking at. You're looking for a clear and concise trend, if that makes sense. So I have let me pull up a map here. When you say northern Utah, what are you talking about, northern Utah? Let me go to maps.google.com, and I'm going to move over here, and I'm just going to pick a spot in northern Utah, and then I'm going to look up a weather forecast on it real quick, and then I'll tell you when I would be considering to do it. So what about Logan, Utah? How about that? That's a northern place right there. Does that sound good? So I'm going to head over to Weather Underground, and I'm going to type in Logan, Utah. I guess that's what would be considered. And let's take a look at this weather, and then I'll compare that to me, for instance, and then we'll kind of move on in that same vein. So right now you're hot, but your nighttime temperature is 52 degrees. That's cold. So if we take an average between those, you're 90. It says you got a potential high for 95. Is that feels like 86 outside? So, but you're 89. So we'll say 89 plus 52 divided by 2. So you're at 70 degrees average, somewhere around there. Then I would, in my opinion, right there, I would definitely be getting it down right now. Let me look at a 10 day here, just to have more of a clearer view. Hang on. I got this blazing fast internet over here. You pay for a gigabit connection and you never get it. So, we got 95, 97, 95, 88. But you look at your nighttime temperatures, 52, 54, 50, 37, 30, 38, 42, 45, 47, 48. So you're right here. You're right here in the zone. I would be getting it down immediately. Immediately. I would not hesitate. I would not wait. I would be going hard in the paint. You said you're in Salt Lake. Let's see. Salt Lake City, Utah. Forgive my ignorance when it comes to the geography of. You have to understand, I'm about as redneck as it gets. I'm not too aware of anything that exists outside of the southeastern United States. I have left the country, but I've only been to Japan before in my life. Okay, so Salt Lake looks a little bit better. 90, so you probably have a temperature there like 78 average or 80 average, 80 average. And then you're starting to dip off into this next week where you got nighttime temperatures of 46, 40, 49, 53, 56, 59, 59. So I would be putting it down immediately again. Now, we'll compare that. I'll take where I'm at. I'm in Knoxville, Tennessee, right? And we'll kind of take a look at this too and see, is it time even here to be putting it down? The answer is yes. So we look here. I've got nighttime temperatures around 63, 64, 63, 57. I got daytime temperatures around the mid-80s. Then I am on a definite cooling trend from where I've been over the last month or so. And it's only going to continue to cool from this point forward. So now it is imperative for me to hurry up and get this down. And what I like about Weather Underground is that you can pull a historical view and put it on like a monthly view, right? So I can go a little bit back in time and view like how that looks and transitions with the trend line over to now. And you see it's dipping. And here we go. We're starting to move into, oh wait, I lost my average. Let me go over here. Actually, I'm going right here. 1 second. I'm getting there. So I've got an average temperature now of about 76 degrees, which is down from about 80 even 3 weeks ago. So that's a pretty good drop. So I'm gonna go ahead and it's on my to-do list. Doing it now. I'm doing it. I'm just gonna send it. All right, now I could go back over here. Actually, I tell you what, real quick, I've got to take a break, and when we come back from the break, I have one more question. They're asking about which Subvert Nutritionals product would be best for overseeding turf types fescue, and a couple of others. And we'll start moving into some POA annual post-emergent herbicides as well, too. So, all right, hang on. We're going to be right back after the break. You're listening to Turfs Up Radio, your industry, your station.
Hey Green Industry Pros, Turfs Up Radio is celebrating what a great first year we had and wants to give you $100 just for being involved. That's right, all you have to do is visit turfsupradio.com/shout out for 100 and follow a few easy steps. When you hear your name live on the radio, we're going to send you a crisp $100 bill. So be sure to visit turfsupradio.com/shout out for 100 to claim your cash. And remember, Turfs Up Radio, your industry, your station.
Eric the Turf Teacher Jones. Oh, yeah! The morning show, Monday through Friday, 6 to 8 a.m. And Keeping Up with Mr. Jones, Mondays at 6 to 8 p.m. Teaching you life lessons, business strategies, and leadership.
Let's grow together. Turfs Up Radio, your industry, your station.
Hey everybody, it's Brooke Ford, host of The Green Veteran here on Turfs Up Radio. Be sure to check me out every Saturday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern. You're going to hear some great one-on-one interviews with green industry professionals. We're going to talk about best business practices, highlight innovative products, and also provide some insight into some new emerging technologies in the field. That's The Green Veteran, airing each Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern. And remember, Turfs Up Radio, your industry, your station.
Hey Turfs Up Radio fans, do you know what time it is? That's right, it's time for Turfs Up Radio. Now you can catch us streaming live 24/7 with pro talk, pro tips, and pro interviews. Simply visit turfsupradio.com.
Playing the best music.
Hands down and dirty. Turfs Up Radio.
Turfs Up Radio.
Turfs Up Radio. Turfs Up Radio. Turfs Up Radio. Turfs Up.
Turfs Up Radio, your industry, your station.
Welcome back. You got some interesting tunes on today. I can dig it. I'll get behind it. I'm into it. All right. So let's see here. One of the questions was for seeding turf type tall fescue, what was the preferred Subvert product? So we actually did a test of this. I can't remember who it was that asked that. Who was it? James Piero, there, we did a test of this, and you can see it if you go over to Facebook Face Crack. What up, Nate? And type in, go to the Carbon Earth webpage, and you're going to see something about spraying lawns in the heat. And in that email, in that write-up, you'll see at the bottom where we actually were doing a test for seed establishment using various products. And what we saw the most success with was actually GTMF. The liquid version of GTMF was where we saw the most success. So in terms of what I would recommend, I would head over to Reel, as in a mower reel, reellowdad.com, and get you some GTMF, good sir. All right, and also here's just kind of a fun one. I think this is important to talk about. Paul Artois, did I say that right, or is it Artois? If your last name is Artois and I'm pronouncing it Artois, I feel like a complete and total dumbass. So I'm gonna go ahead and stick with Artois because it sounds more sophisticated. And let me tell you, you're dealing with a very unsophisticated human being here. So anything I can do to give myself a little bit of a competitive edge, I'm willing to undergo. Mr. Artois. Could you explain temperature inversions? Under temperature inversions guidance under drift management section of speed zone directions, please and thank you. Yeah, so pretty simple here when you're talking about temperature inversions, and I'll give you the official definition here from Farm Progress, because especially in farming they have to deal with this a lot because they use particularly a lot of dicamba, and dicamba is notorious for temperature inversions. So a temperature inversion is when the air temperature at a higher level is greater than the temperature at a lower level. The greater the difference, the more intense the inversion. And it kind of goes on to here say, when you can't see an inversion layer, it develops where air coming up from the ground increasing in temperature meets air in the atmosphere that is warmer, decreasing in temperature as it then continues rising. So foggy evenings or mornings are indications of temperature inversions at work. If you see smoke from a smokestack going sideways instead of straight up, it's likely because a temperature inversion layer is diverting it. So what happens in that particular scenario there is you'll get kind of this release of herbicide, and then it will move off target. And normally you'll see it in kind of like low wind situations too, when there's not a lot of wind. Say you're spraying an ester-based formulation and you have literally zero wind, no movement at all, then you're going to see the potential for vertical movement of that herbicide and take out what's directly above it. And then with temperature inversion, what can happen is that as herbicide continues, it moves up and then it hits those layers, you'll start to get sideways mobility out of it, and then it can drift into something down the road. If there's significant amounts of wind or even just a gentle breeze, normally it would disperse it so quickly it wouldn't become a thing. Does that make sense? So I hope that makes sense. It's kind of hard for you to be able to get out there and just you would have to pay attention to the forecast, really to kind of understand what's going on there and make sure you're not doing it. The other thing you can do is make sure you're not applying it as close to the limits of that herbicide as possible. So that's kind of the other piece of this is that, if you start, the temperature restriction is 85 and you're going out there and it may be like 86 and you're like, I'm just going to go ahead and take a risk on it. Then, well, you're also taking a risk on the greater potential for temperature inversion to become an issue. The closer you push the confines of, or the limitations of your label, the more potential you have for that to become a problem. I hope that helps. Let me see if I can get another one here. They have, if you search temperature inversion, you'll see some of these images that may help you understand. So if you've got cooler air, warmer air, and then cooler air, as the air rises and it hits that warm layer, it will turn sideways and move like this, where it's seemingly going up and then over. So effectively the same thing would happen where your herbicide is moving up, and normally wind would disperse it and dilute it. Remember, dilution is the solution to pollution. I had an old environmental person tell me that, and that's not always the case, so we'll just pretend I didn't say that. But what can happen is as that rises, it will divert, change directions, and move off target, ultimately causing problems. And I can tell you, I have committed serious grievances with triclopyr, trying to push it to the limit, where it was a cool day and it was June, but it was cool, and it was going to be cool up for a period of time. But we had rain moving in later in the day, so my thought process and my logic that I applied to it was, I'm like, well, listen, number one, I've got a cool day, so I should be good to go out and apply this. Number two, I've got rain coming later, which should keep everything relatively contained. What I didn't realize was that we were probably, with rain coming in later in the day, we were probably already layering it with temperature inversion as kind of a thing that was already happening. So I went at there happy at a low rate, at a very low rate, cautiously low rate of triclopyr, and went ham doing this vegetation control job. And sure enough, about 2 weeks later, you get the call back, and the red buds that were 100 yards away across the entirety of a backyard and kind of neighboring properties were completely defoliated. And I was like, man, how is this possible? And it was a long story, and it was actually an old professor and that I knew personally, and it was indeed temperature inversion that got me there. I got lured into a false sense of security because the ambient air temperature was relatively low, and therefore I thought safety. And then I was also thinking about rain coming in too, which I thought was an added layer of safety, but in reality that should have been my added indicator layer that it was not safe for me to be doing that. Pretty intense stuff, I guess. We had another question here. It said, if you're only 2 weeks out, so 2 weeks out, got a renovation going. I put down some X-Start, which is just a starter fertilizer. It's an 824-4. I put down an 824-4. And I also applied tenacity with it. 2 weeks later, now, can I throw down another starter fertilizer with mesotrione, with tenacity, impregnated on it? Or should I wait? And this would be my explanation of that, is when, first and foremost, let's take a look at the label. And I believe, let me pull up the label. Reapplication interval. Let me search by interval. Apply tenacity at 5 to 8 fluid ounces per acre and at least 30 gallons of water per acre prior to seeding or post-seeding of tolerant turfgrass species, except fine fescue. Apply at grass seed or close to seeding for best performance. Wait until newly germinated turf has been mowed 2 times or 4 weeks after emergence, whichever is longer, before making a post-emergence application. Does it say anything specifically about this? Do not exceed 5 fluid ounces per acre to perennial ryegrass or fine fescues that make up 50% perennial ryegrass or fine fescue. Do not exceed 4 fluid ounces to St. Augustine grass. That's in sod production. Really, what I'm taking away here, what I would do is I would wait a minimum of 4 weeks. Just based off that one note there, because the rates are the same, right? 4 to 8 ounces or 5 to 8 ounces, rates are the same. Oh, wait, here we go. Weed control with post-emergent applications. And what weed is this? Let me see what weed this is. That's a number 2. Okay, so if you're just making a post-emergent application in general, application is going to require a second application 2 to 3 weeks. But under the reseeding instructions here, it says do not make a post-emergent application. So that would mean that frequency you would pay attention to, you would not make for at least 4 weeks after establishment. So I definitely would not be doing that. According to the label here, before 2 applications that close together would be considered a post-emergent application. And it says do not make a post-emergent application until at least 4 weeks after establishment. So that would be my recommendation according to the label. I think that makes sense. Does that kind of cover it? That kind of covers it, right? Chad said, I put down the low rate of Anew with Prodiamine 2 days ago. When would you stop the PGRs in upstate New York? The podcast made it sound like fall equals no PGR. I mean, technically you can, but in reality, do you need to? No, you really don't. And the reason why is because we don't get just a whole lot of surge growth in fall anyway. I'm still pretty hot here. So, and you're in upstate New York, so I'd say you're a little cooler. So I'd say you're in that optimal growth zone. And is it really just churning out right now? Now's kind of the time that, it's getting ready to go dormant. You're probably raising your height of cut. Because remember, we're wanting carbohydrate storage to take place right now. The more carbohydrate storage that can take place right now, the faster you're going to green up in the spring, and you'll have more mineralizable nitrogen that's going to be released there too. So typically you get a faster, you'll usually have a better color response in the spring when it breaks dormancy. So I wouldn't be worried a whole lot right now about applying a new, especially if you put down a pre-emergent with it. I'd let that baby grow. I'd just let it grow. I'd let it get a little tall. I'd get a little leggy, start cutting down my mowing frequency, and let that baby go to sleep as gently as possible. And it's not to say you're going to kill it if you do it any other ways. You can do it really any way you want. That's just how I would do it. And, how I do it is based off my education, my experience. And if you have different education, different experience, you may do it that way. And it's not to say one is right or one is wrong. I'm just saying that's the decision making I make when I come up with this suggestion. I'm not saying it's the only way. I'm just saying it's the way I would do it, if that makes sense. I think that kind of makes sense. All right, real quick. I got to take a break. And when we come back, let's keep going. I'm kind of having fun answering questions. So feel free. Send me a question. I'll answer. We can get as weird as we need to. I'm not worried about it. All right, you're listening to the one, the only radio station dedicated to an entire industry. It is Turfs Up Radio. Your industry, your station.
Wednesday night.
Uh-oh, guess what day it is?
Hump night with the Duck. 7 Pacific, 10 Eastern. Only on Turfs Up Radio.
Hump day?
We have to put up with this?
The Rock! The hot place!
You're not the top.
Did I say something wrong?
The Duck. On Turfs Up Radio. Turfs Up Radio. Your industry, your station.
Hey everybody, this is Hecubus from the Nightcap. I'm just sitting here relaxing within the vault with my friends and a tasty, tasty pint. You should stop by and listen in sometime. I'm here every Monday through Friday, 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern, live only on Turfs Up Radio. Your industry, your station.
Hey, landscape pros, are you tired of digging through rocks and roots and breaking shovels in the process? Then it's time you checked out the Geo Ripper 616. It's a landscaper's dream with the Makita 6 Series 2-cycle engine producing over 4 horsepower of raw performance. The 616 digs deep in up to 16 inches of the toughest soils. Lighting, landscape, and irrigation contractors already love this improved lightweight trencher with its ability to get in and get out faster, easier, and with less ground disturbance. And you will too. This redesigned Geo Ripper 616 comes with 2 heavy-duty digging chains and a whole mess of helpful extras. To learn more about the Geo Ripper and how it can help you out in the field, visit georipper.com today.
Something brings me back to you, back to you, back to you, back to you, back to you. Back to you, back to you, you.
Yeah! Actually, it's a great point. See, we were talking about how education, you have all these differences of opinions, the way to approach it. And Kevin actually said right here, I follow the opposite rule for height of cut. I drop the height of cut to reduce matting down in the grass and also in hopes to reduce snow mold recovery. And you're exactly right. I don't have to deal with snow mold. And it's something I completely did not even take into account I've seen maybe my entirety of my life 4, 5, 10 patches of snow mold. A couple of pink patch, but that's really about it. And so I did not take that into consideration. And, when you're talking about snow mold and potential for gas exchange and all that fun stuff, then yeah, I get it. I totally get it. And so that would make sense. The other thing, too, is that normally I'm dealing with tall fescue, and tall fescue is a little bit more resistant to it. A little bit. I'm not saying 100% more, but there is more potential there for resistance to it, too. So you're exactly right there, Kevin. That is 100% not my area of expertise. I don't know the slightest bit, really, about snow mold other than avoid heavy fall potassium applications. My old buddy B-Rad. What's up, B-Rad? You are so rad, Mr. B-Rad. He said, I want to get ahead of Bermuda sneaking into a first-year Georgia lawn. I'm considering Fusillade with non-ionic surfactant. Would you go a different route or add something to Fusillade? Yeah, I would. I think you're on the right track there. That's the herbicide I would reach for, but I would also add triclopyr to it. And probably a low rate. And as you get a little bit cooler, you can move back up into a normal rate, so to speak. So that's going to be the route to go. And as kind of a general rule of thumb, 3 applications, 4 applications, something like that. And then as it starts to green up in spring, kind of resume your applications. Understand it may create a little bit of an issue in the spring with your spring green up on your zoysia grass. So it's not something I'd be going out making just gigantic blanket applications of. I would definitely try and target those spots. More so than just going out there with the lawn gun and with your green Lesco gun and your yellow tip on it and just blanket spraying acres and acres and acres of it to eliminate Bermuda grass. I would not do that because you have to remember Fusillade at the end of the day is very hard on turfs. It just is. It's just hard on turfs. So I would personally be doing more zone spraying or a quote-unquote spot spraying, targeting very specific areas, minimizing the amount of collateral exposure to the Flazophop. And, of course, also adding your triclopyr to it. And as far as a triclopyr, there's lots of triclopyr formulations out there. So Turflon ester kind of being the bee's knees. And I can also say with experience, the Tricera, Trycera from Helena is a fantastic product too. And that is a triclopyr acid, not quite an ester formulation, but definitely not an amine formulation either. There's something else here. Oh yeah, here we go. Aldo, is there a warm season equivalent to tenacity as far as post-emergent effects? Yeah, and you can run tenacity on Bermuda grass. You just have to be tolerant. You have to be tolerant of the whitening effect that goes along with it. It's just a bleacher. All HPPD inhibitors are bleachers. Are there more? Are there safer HPPD inhibitors for Bermuda grass? Tenacity is about as safe as it gets. Your only other option in that sphere is Pylex. And we know Pylex is used as part of a program approach to controlling post-emergently Bermuda grass in other grass types, cool season grasses. So it's not, can you run Pylex as a post-emergent for weeds outside of Bermuda grass? Like, for instance, can you spray Bermuda grass with Pylex to use it as a post-emergent? Yes, you can, at low rates. So as low of a 1/4 of an ounce. I've even seen some people say Speed Zone plus Pylex at 1/10 of an ounce. 1/10 of an ounce per acre provided acceptable levels of control of goosegrass in warm season grass, specifically Bermuda. I would not put Pylex on zoysia grass. It's not going to respond the same. It's not going to be effective. You're going to end up causing probably irreversible damage to your zoysia grass. So don't test it first if you plan on doing it. I don't think you're in label violation by doing it, but I think there's some pretty strict CYA language on the Pylex label about applying to zoysia grass. So as a general rule of thumb, do not apply to zoysia. As far as a pre-emergent, although like you're talking about pre-emergent properties, metsulfuron methyl is going to have some soil residual. Trifloxysulfuron is going to have some soil residual. And of course, you have, there's some other options too, especially in like sports turf. You have oxadiazone, Ronstar. Oxadiazone is just a phenomenal product that you can go out with that you can kind of use in conjunction with your other as part of your establishment strategy. So oxadiazone is really the elite version. Tenacity, as far as a pre-emergent concern, in all honesty, it sucks. It totally sucks. So I would much rather deal with the weeds post-emergently after I get the grass up and established than ever spend the money on tenacity. That's my opinion. That's me personally. Some people have differences of opinions. Me personally, normally what I'm dealing with in that scenario, as long as I can get even germination of my cool season grass that I'm trying to establish, I'm not usually having to worry a whole lot about POA. And if I do get a little POA and I get a little bit of annua in it, then, okay, I can go out with a little ethofumicate and tackle it that way. Or if I'm feeling real froggy, I can get some amikarbazone and go that rate. So, I do not like tenacity at all. I'm not an anti-tenacity person. I just, as the cost to result ratio there, as a singular product, I think it sucks. Ray and I, we were having a talk about it one day, and Ray is a fan of tenacity, but only as a tank mix companion. Ray doesn't like a singular application of tenacity either. It's not really doing anything. So, you're going to turn some weeds white. As far as a post-emergent product, you have to make repeat applications of it. So just according to the label there, we have to make 2 applications at a full rate, 2 to 4 weeks apart in order to have, or 2 to 3 weeks apart in order to have good post-emergent control. It has a huge suppression list, meaning that it will discolor a wide variety of weeds, but in terms of actually controlling it, it's just not very effective. And if you look at this pre-emergence versus post-emergent list on tenacity, you'll see it does not offer near the amount of pre-emergence control on a lot of these weeds that it does offer post-emergent control. And again, you're kind of going back there to your you're just going to cause discoloration, and that's really it. That's really it. So, and again here, as far as a pre-emergent is concerned, it only offers suppression, meaning that tenacity as a product right here, according to the label, says it will only offer suppression, meaning it's not going to stop POA annua from germinating. It's just going to germinate white, and then it will recover. And as a post-emergent control, it is marked as an N, which means no. It offers no post-emergent control. Now, could that be part of a tank mix, with, say, tenacity and Zonerate and Trinaxpac ethyl? That might work. Could you do tenacity and ethofumicate? That might work. So, that's just kind of my whole take on it. I'm not a fan of tenacity. Your dollar spent for your dollar reward does not make sense in my opinion. So there we go. What's the difference between phosphite fertilizers and phosphite fungicides? Rambo, it all has to do with the labeling. Because in order to label something a fungicide, you have to label it with the EPA. You have to register it with an EPA, and you have to conduct studies based on human health, animal health, exposure levels, LD50s. You have to have all of this significant amounts of data, and you have to have a multi-year studies to say that if you're labeling as a fungicide, you have to have a multi-year study to show it actually does have fungicidal properties. You can't just say it's a fungicide and put a label on it and go make and put it out on the marketplace. Like, I have lots of phosphite that we manufacture and sell. I cannot call that a fungicide. Cannot do it. I can call it a fertilizer all day long. But if I want to call it a fungicide, we have to conduct all that back-end testing over a series of years. Typically, you're going to be looking at 3, 4, maybe even 5 years in order to get approval before you can call it a fungicide and release it. So there you go. Because as soon as it takes on the name fungicide, it is now effectively a pesticide. Pesticide being the all-encompassing class. And when you move into pesticides, you start moving into more intense regulations. You got FIFRA and all that fun stuff too. It's kind of an interesting thing, how all that works. Labeling is a very, very weird thing, and you can spend a lot of time diving into labels and kind of seeing the nuances there. Yeah, there's definitely some weird nuances. Real quick, I've got to take a break. When we come back, we're going to be talking about some ryegrass seeding, all that fun stuff, and I think I saw some more stuff about mowing. And Truth Hunter said Zorja El Toro is his favorite, and I gotta say I don't have the experience with El Toro. My favorite is one of the old tried and true ones too, which is Meyer Z52. So real quick, I'm taking a break, and when we come back, more to go. You're listening to segment number 3 on Turf's Up Radio. Your industry, your station.
Turf's Up Radio fans, do you know what time it is? That's right, it's time for Turf's Up Radio. Now you can catch us streaming live 24/7 with pro talk, pro tips, and pro interviews. Simply visit turfsupradio.com.
Playing the best music.
Hands down and dirty. Turf's Up Radio.
Turf's Up Radio.
Turf's Up Radio. Turf's Up Radio. Turf's Up Radio. Turf's Up.
Turf's Up Radio. Your industry, your station.
Hey everybody, it's Brooke Ford, host of The Green Veteran here on Turf's Up Radio. Be sure to check me out every Saturday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern. You're going to hear some great one-on-one interviews with green industry professionals. We're going to talk about best business practices, highlight innovative products, and also provide some insight into some new emerging technologies in the field. That's The Green Veteran, airing each Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern. And remember, Turf's Up Radio, your industry, your station.
Hey Green Industry Pros, Turf's Up Radio is celebrating what a great first year we had and wants to give you $100 just for being involved. That's right, all you have to do is visit turfsupradio.com/shout out for 100 and follow a few easy steps. When you hear your name live on the radio, we're going to send you a crisp $100 bill. So be sure to visit turfsupradio.com/shout out for 100 to claim your cash. And remember, Turf's Up Radio, your industry, your station.
We're back. I missed the mic button, of course. I still struggle with the soundboard. One day I'll learn how to be a professional radio person. right, so Polo Fields Lawn Service had a question here. It said, Matt, when can be a good time to seed ryegrass? Have a person who doesn't water their grass, so should I wait until October when temps drop and we get a little more rain and dew? They have a Bermuda lawn. So actually, if they don't water it, it's going to be a pain in the ass, and it doesn't matter if you wait until October or you do it now. It's just going to be a pain, and you don't have to water it a ton, but those first few watering. So what I would do is I would just time it with a good heavy rain. If you can time it with a good heavy rain, you should be good. You're in the window to begin seeding ryegrass. I wouldn't try and wait till it cools down a little bit because it's just going to be a little bit slower to establish. So what I would do is I'd go ahead, time it where you've got for sure a good, nice, healthy 1-inch rain coming or similar. Get it down, let it get rained on, and that is going to be your best chance at success, especially in the absence of an irrigation system. Again, you wait till it goes a little bit cooler. Will it? Yes, it will. It will come up eventually, but chances are you're probably not going to get to experience it until the next spring. So I go ahead and get it done on a day you've got a good rain. Get it down and go to town. Why did I rhyme that? That is just such trash, Matt. I like this. Mr. Townsend said, "Are your weeds a pain in the grass?" You got that right. You got it right. You know that is. You know what that makes me want to do?
Bonus turf. Hi, I'm Bone. I'm gonna give you a bunch of accurate turf facts today because Bone knows turf.
Today's segment of Bone Knows Turf is we're going to be talking about. Actually, I had nothing. I had nothing for it, but I saw the joke there that are weeds a pain in the grass, and I was like, you know what? That laugh is just very fitting. So today, I spare you. Bo is growing, and we're going to continue to nurture the growth of Bo, and we will do so gently and eloquently. And so today, we will give him a pass and let him to continue to spread his wings and fly. Because remember, together, through knowledge, through education, we can watch Bo grow.
Bo knows turf. Hi, I'm Bone. I'm gonna give you a bunch of accurate turf facts today because Bone knows turf.
I've been waiting to do that. Wise guy said, Matt, I got a 50-pound bag of muriate of potash. Can apply it to my Zor's yard, 5,000 square feet, every 3 months until it's gone. So I'm going to do the math on this real quick, right? So you've got 5,000 square feet and you've got 50 pounds. So you would apply it over 3 months. So that would be 3 pounds of actual muriate of potash. So that would be 1.5 pounds of potassium every month for 3 months. Did I get that right? Yep, that's going to be right. So can you do that? That'd be 3 1/3, really. Can you do that? Yes. Should you do that? I wouldn't. Really, are you going to hurt anything by it? No, but you're going to raise the potassium levels in your soil very high. And if you don't need it, it's going to be a little bit silly. And now you're kind of have it in your favor that you're going to be dealing with lower temperatures. So your potential for burn using muriate of potash is decreasing. So if you want to time it with a good rain and make the application, yeah, probably what I would do is I would spread it out over a longer period of time than just 3 months, unless you're incredibly deficient in potassium on your soil. Maybe throw a little bit of nitrogen in with it too. I don't know if I just go straight MOP and load things up as much as you can. So, I just, hey, I get why you want to do it. You probably just want to use it up, but I mean, we're talking about a pretty significant amount of, actually, it'd be a little bit more than that. Let me see, 50 times 0.6. So that would be 30 pounds divided by 5,000 square feet. So that would be 6 pounds total divided by 3 out of 3 applications. So that would be 2 pounds of actual K2O. Which would then be times 0.83. Oh, crap. 3 times 0.83. So it would be, right. 2.5 pounds of actual potassium. That's a pretty significant amount. Again, you're not going to hurt anything about it, but I wouldn't do that personally. There you go. How about that? Mr. Townsend Smith said, I'm very curious what your background experience is. So my background is turf grass management. Studied it in college, University of Tennessee. When I was in college, I had got an internship at Target Golf here in Knoxville. At the time, there was going to be plans to turn it into a golf course and full practice facility. 2008 happened, and when it crashed, everything pretty much was pulled the plug on that. So I thought I was really cool and that I deserved some superintendent job somewhere because I had that. And mind you, I built it over 2 years, me and a bunch of other people too. And then somehow, some way, I was left without a job, nowhere really to go. So I moved back to Memphis, and I got into residential lawn care. And this started really in the fall of 2008. And I got started in 2008 in residential lawn care, and I have been in it since. I got out of residential lawn care about a year, almost 2 years ago. It's a year and 10 months when I built a manufacturing facility in Calhoun, Kentucky. Me and a buddy of mine named John Borden, John Borden built it. We had an idea of developing our fertilizer company. And so we learned how to actually granulate fertilizer. So we didn't know how to, we weren't going to blend at the time. We actually wanted to granulate fertilizer. So we started granulating fertilizer, and we ended up building a pretty decent sized business. And now we're going through a big restructuring of that business. And so, yeah, that's what I do. I guess that makes sense. Yeah. That's my background. And of course, I've been doing the YouTube thing for like 4 years now, where I teach the science behind why we do what we do. I'm way more interested in the science than I am anything else. Look, turf teacher's here. Dang it, Eric, I need to call you back too. When you were texting me the other day, I was in the middle of the bunker. In fact, I just got to call you and tell you the whole story of everything that's going on. And I love Eric's comment here. Can we use weed and feed with our seeding? The number one question we get asked, can I put down weed and feed with my seed? And boy, golly, it's on days like that sometimes that you want to pick up your monitor and smash your face through it, or attempt to smash your face through it. Mr. Townsend Smith, one of the things you can do is you can hop over to Spotify and type in the Grass Factor, and you can go way back to the beginning, and you can hear the entire story. It kind of covers a pretty significant portion of my life. But yeah, I've been a teacher, a manufacturer, and an applicator and a turf manager in this industry since 2006. 2006, 2007. Yeah, so finishing up my 13th, 14th year in the green industry. And I love it. And I absolutely love it. And I'm there's nothing else I would rather do with my life. And in fact, there's nothing else I really can do with my life other than this, because I'm a giant one-dimensional monster. What do we have here? Somebody asked, what's the difference between prodiamine and dithiopyr? Is one better than the other for fall application versus springtime? Kinda, not really. The difference is that there's not really much difference. In terms of mode of action, they're both the same mode of action. They're both DNA dinitroalanine pre-emergence, right? So same mode of action. So they're going to have similar, slightly different, but similar spectrum of controls. One is going to have way longer residual. One is going to have a little bit more capacity in terms of root pruning. The way these dinitroalanines work is they're going to inhibit cell division in the root system. And so what you end up getting is this, nubbing, clubbing of the root system. And that piece of it is actually kind of non-selective as far as that nubbing is concerned. So it'll happen to the grass you want to grow there. It'll happen to the grass you don't want to grow there. And so you have to take that into account in your management, but it's relatively mild because our turf grasses are such aggressive growers, especially compared to our weed species. So generally, as a rule of thumb, you have seen through the course in the history of the industry, we have seen better results out of prodiamine because of its longer half-life, where Dimension has typically done a little bit better in the spring because of its ability at one point in time to, a little bit more broad spectrum on a broadleaf weed panel, and then dithiopyr has this interesting ability to be able to post-emergently control very early tiller crabgrass if you apply the maximum rate and you apply it with a surfactant. If you eliminate one of those, your ability to offer post-emergent control of your crabgrass goes to zero, or you're not in the right tiller stage. You're a little bit too late. So, yeah, there you go. But we all know it is now Friday at 5 o'clock. That means it is time for the Lush Factor!
What's up, everybody?
What are you doing, Lushy?
I just rolled back from a week of beautiful vacation with the family and absolutely loaded my truck to the tilt and ready to go out tomorrow. Get some aeration and overseeding started.
What? You're already home?
Already home, brother. That was a little road trip, about 45 minutes away. Went to the beach, went to Plymouth Beach where the Pilgrims landed.
Wow. Because just earlier, you sent me a message from the beach.
Yeah. I was trying to, the first call was I was going to actually take you out in the ocean with me. I figured you'd want to go swimming.
I did. I apologize. I couldn't answer. I called you back.
You didn't answer. Yeah. And I was my phone was in the bag. I was loading up the car. And then on the way home, I called you.
Yeah. And then I got caught up on the phone too.
And I have to admit, the Duo video message that you leave instead of just a voicemail is by far the best thing ever.
Isn't it? It's fantastic.
That is excellent. I love it.
So have you had any beers today? Are we doing beers or are we not doing beers?
We're doing some beers. I mean, I don't have a freshie. Michaela, bring me a fresh beer out front. So Uncle Aaron can pop one on the radio. We're gonna do some lobsters.
Oh boy! Hey, I want you to listen to this. This is from Aldo. Okay.
Hell yeah!
Oh, Aldo, I got you. This one's still pretty full. I'll take that one down. And I gotta admit, you're getting really good with that transfer over. When me, Colin, still talking, I heard the whole thing clicking over and getting ready.
That was pretty intense because I was having to do all that while I was trying to explain what was going on, and it was hard to focus on it. But somehow, some way, I managed to get it done.
Yeah, and I almost screamed out that if you didn't do the full rate of dithiapyr with surfactant for the post-emergent, I was you beat that into my head that if I hear someone say something, I have to correct them.
You got to. And man, I tell you what, I still. Oh, what is this?
Hold on, ready? And we had a delivery. This is for Aldo. You ready?
Yep. Announce it. What is that, Lushy?
That's a beer.
That's right. Happy Friday to you, Lushy, and don't work too hard tomorrow. It's actually Labor Day weekend, so I was hoping you were going to take the remainder of the time off to kind of R&R, buddy.
We're just gonna get started. I'm gonna take Shane out, and we've got a few that I want to just kind of show him how I want it done. We got actually 2 big properties we're going to do. For us, they're big. They're both around 30,000 square feet. We're going to do a full aeration, overseeding. We're going to top dress with some X soil.
Oh boy.
Oh yeah, we're going to be throwing it out. So my question for you: should I do have some GTMF? Should I spray that out?
Yeah,
well.
Yeah, man. Let me tell you, throw it 1/2 gallon an acre. Just throw it in there and put it down on top of your seed, and
right.
and report back on what you see after the fact.
Oh, I think he's gonna get the double whammy. I got X start. We got the go time, and we're gonna let it loose.
I think it's going to be very successful for you. We replicated what we did in the lab out in the field, and we're probably about 4 weeks into that, and boy, it was a little bit of a chore getting it up when it was 90 degrees outside, but we did, and it's all beautiful and thriving now.
Yeah, no, the weather is just for us is I think hit perfect. We're I think next week they're in the mid 80s with 50s, high 50s at night.
Oh, that's it right there. That is it.
Oh, it is. It's just go time. I mean, the midday is just going to get that stuff germinating. It's going to cool down, calm down. I can feel the humidity. It's just not so gross. We're getting a few days of humidity, so I'll be a little nervous about Pythium, but I just kind of run around and watch and see what I get.
Well, you know what? If need be, once it gets up a little bit, you can always get you a little phosphite out there.
You know what? I happen to have some phosphite. Hey, that was. Does that have a phosphorus and potassium level to that?
It has a potassium level to it. The phosphorus is not plant available, so you do not count that towards phosphorus.
All right. Yeah, because that had a phosphorus number to it, but it didn't have. But that one's not plant available. All right. So the potassium is, because I think it was a 30 or a 31 on the potassium.
Yes, if you'll notice, there's a star, an asterisk by the phosphorus, and that's because it is a note saying this is not plant available phosphorus.
Excellent. I got another exciting news. I got some Pete's GCI. What is it? The Cool Blue coming in.
Oh, that's a good one.
I'm excited. I want to try that out. I actually have a bag for my yard. I bought it, of course, full Lushy style. Excess is what we do. Bought a 50-pound bag for 500 square feet. So I think I have enough seed to, maybe trowel it out. But I have, 6 more bags coming in, 4 more bags coming in, 4 bags coming in. I'm going to throw it and top dress my father-in-law's with that, because he's got an old school lawn that is, probably 30, 40 years old. Original grass, never been overseeded. And you've gotten some panic emails over it. People have heard the woes of tip burns, and mother-in-law's not speaking to them for a little while. And
hey, listen, everything's going to be all right, Lushy. It's just grass.
It's all good. It's all good. Oh, it's all good. She loves it now. No, he doesn't want to hear that he has bent grass, so he won't let me kill it. So I slowly just nuke it out.
Well, sir, Janu said, "What's up?" And he said, "Wagwan." And Aldo said, "Ponda Lushy." So everybody's cheering you on. Enjoy your weekend, good sir. And tell the family and everybody I said hello and I love them.
I will. Cindy's begging for you guys to come up. She's like, tell them to come up. Tell them to come up.
Sooner than later. It's coming. It's coming.
Hey, we just spent 4 days in the White Mountains camping. We rented a camper. If we can do that, you guys come up, we can rent another camper. We can rent 2. I got 2 trucks. We can haul them.
Yeah, I can drive with the camper. I ain't scared of that. I used to tote around bobcats. Yep. I'll be okay.
Oh yeah, zipped right up to 2.5 hours up into the White Mountains. We the whole family was with us. We hopped in a river on an inner tube and just floated down that thing. We had some beers with us and had a blast. Absolute blast. I mean, I wish I had a camera and recorded how much fun we had just kind of floating along, and the river was low, so we kept getting stuck, and then we hit a deep spot and shoes come untied and get scared by your shoelaces. Well, that was me. But it was great. I mean, it was absolutely beautiful. Then we came back, we kind of relaxed yesterday, and then bang, we were down the beach this morning.
Sean said, is this the Lush Factor show? And Sean, I got to tell you, you're damn right it's the Lush Factor show. What are you talking about? It is.
And Aldo, I'm on my second beer, baby, just for you.
All right, Lushy, I got to take a break, good sir. Don't do anything I wouldn't do.
Oh, that leaves it wide open.
All right, good sir. We will talk at you soon.
America, enjoy Labor Day weekend. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. Between Matt and I, it doesn't leave much.
You heard it right here on Turf's Up Radio, your industry, your station.
Hey everybody, this is Hecubus from the Nightcap. I'm just sitting here relaxing within the vault with my friends and a tasty, tasty pint. You should stop by and listen in sometime. I'm here every Monday through Friday, 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern, live only on Turf's Up Radio. Your industry, your station.
Every Wednesday night.
Uh-oh, guess what day it is?
Hump Night with The Duck, 7 Pacific, 10 Eastern, only on Turf's Up Radio.
Hump Day?
Do we have to put up with this?
The Rock! The hot place!
You're not the top.
Did I say something wrong?
The Duck on Turf's Up Radio. Turf's Up Radio. Your industry, your station.
Are you a military family with a spouse on deployment away from home? Did you know that nonprofit Project Evergreen has thousands of volunteers across the country ready to help military families with lawn, landscape, and snow removal services? We call it Green Care and Snow Care for troops. If you are a military family and would like to receive this free service, or if you'd like to volunteer to help, visit projectevergreen.org. Project Evergreen, creating a greener, healthier, cooler Earth, 1 yard at a time.
Hey, landscape pros, are you tired of digging through rocks and roots and breaking shovels in the process? Then it's time you checked out the Geo Ripper 616. It's a landscaper's dream with the Makita 6 Series 2-cycle engine producing over 4 horsepower of raw performance. The 616 digs deep in up to 16 inches of the toughest soils. Lighting, landscape, and irrigation contractors already love this improved lightweight trencher with its ability to get in and get out faster, easier, and with less ground disturbance. And you will too. This redesigned Geo Ripper 616 comes with 2 heavy-duty digging chains and a whole mess of helpful extras. To learn more about the Geo Ripper and how it can help you out in the field, visit georipper.com today.
We're back. Apologize. Anybody that's in on the live stream, I had to block somebody on the chat there. I was not paying attention to what they were saying, and then I don't know. It got a little weird, so I blocked them. At least I think they're blocked. We'll try again. if I see their name reappear. I have a feeling it could be that same weirdo that changed his name from Brett Sucks to Matt Martin Sucks, and then Matt Martin Sucks too. Who knows? The trolls are strong. Characters. I did have one legitimate question come in, and the question was, Matt, what is your most preferred ride-on spreader sprayer for 2 to 10,000 square foot lawns? And this is so easy for me to answer. So I'm in Knoxville, Tennessee, right? So we are talking about, I'm kind of at the foothills of the mountains, right? So real hilly here. You got lots of properties with very steep banks on them and stuff. And the only machine I ever had success with in this area is a Permagreen. And I'll tell you exactly why I went with that machine. Number one is it was the only machine I could choose that I could use on every property for every application all year long. Number two, it was the only machine that I could fix the majority of whatever went wrong with it while it was on the back of my truck picking up parts from the local auto store. It wasn't like I had to go back, unload, try and figure it out, diagnose it. It's very simple to work on. And then number three, there are no extra bells, knobs, and whistles to accidentally bump, knock into, blow holes in lawns with. You know, your pump is regulated by your speed, so it all kind of works in sync together. So in my opinion, the most superior, scalable, easy to use, yet effective machine on the market, again, my experience influences my opinions, is a Permagreen. Without a doubt, even to this day, if I had to do it all over again, that is exactly where I would start and end the conversation. I've tried the other machines. You know, I've hopped on one. You know, I've ridden the new Steel Green. I've ridden the new Z Spray, and nothing wrong with them. I rode the Toro, and they're fun and they're cool machines too. And I'm definitely not going to say they're not effective. I'm not saying that at all. I'm telling you, my preference is I felt like I had way more control over the machine with the Permagreen because it's not hydraulically driven. It has adequate speed. And the fact that I could use a bit of my own strength, I'm a big guy, I'm 6'4", 260 pounds. I could use my frame to my advantage to get me out of tricky situations. Whereas if I'm on, and you know, the machine itself only weighs 330 pounds, something like that. So if I'm in a tricky situation going downhill and I need to shift my weight around to get it to turn out of moving downhill, then I could shift my weight around and kind of get the machine to work in my favor, and not have to just ditch it and let Jesus take the wheel. With the other machines, and again, just my experience where I am at places I've treated lawns is you start going downhill and, you're dealing with hydraulics. And so you let go of it and let Jesus take the wheel. Well, you're sliding at that point because the hydraulics have locked the wheels up and you're in a free for all. And the only way you're stopping is until you get to the bottom of that hill. And heaven forbid the bottom of that hill is water because you're going right into the water. So anyway, in my experience, in my opinion, the only machine I would ever use after what I've been through is a Permagreen. Shout out to those guys. Absolutely love them. Shout out to Dan Shiplove up there. He's an old friend of mine. We've been friends for many years now, and I have to say, without the support of Permagreen, I would never have been able to be successful in this industry, because I'll tell you exactly what I had happen to me was in my I was the one who would always suffer, and I used to run this area, especially when I was in Memphis. I used to run this part of town that was all converted farmland. So it was Somerville, Fayette County in Memphis. And so huge acreage. And I used to have to pull the hose on those properties. And you could tell at the beginning of the route versus the end of the route, how the quality was declining as the fatigue increased. when you spend, an acre and a half, 2 acres, 2.5 acres at a time on a property, by the time you get to the fourth property, well, you're moving up there to 4 to, 8.5, 10 acres of spray time that day. You're just not as effective. Your hand speed isn't the same out of your hose. Your walk speed isn't the same. You lose your lines when you're walking because your fatigue sets in and you get a little bit of confusion going on it. Or, by that point, the sweat has, taken off the surface layer of your eyeball, so you're not even seeing straight anymore. And then heaven forbid it's 100 degrees outside. So it's just then when I transitioned over to the permagreen, that was when I went to fairway lawns. That was when all of a sudden I went from becoming a good technician to a better technician because I didn't make near the mistakes. And the results I were getting across the entirety of my property load was way more consistent. And Townsend, I see what you're saying here. And this is, I get what you're saying. You like the turf coat and all that, and there's always this kind of thing where it's like, well, the grass is always greener on the other side. But at the same time, you think about the turf coat again. More hydraulics, and I know they were having problem with the rear hydros or whatever was going on with that rear axle on it that was causing problems. And some people like it, and some people like that machine, and no pride. I don't hate on anybody for it by any means. At the end of the day, it's all real, just personal preference. But in terms of productivity per hour over a longer period of time, it was, the permagreen just did it for me. I could consistently put out more acreage with more consistently results. Sean, you're going to Knoxville? You're coming up here? You're kidding me. You better call me. It's my birthday weekend, so you better call me. Paul Outlaw just texted, and he said number 4 because PPC Total Turf uses them too. So there you go. Yeah, and I've got some friends. I got a buddy of mine down in Atlanta, and he does huge acreage. What up, Russell Skipper? Huge acreage. And in his opinion, you can't get any better than a steel green. He runs steel greens. He loves steel greens. He bleeds steel greens and cranks out massive acreage. In fact, he probably did more acreage as a single person off one of those machines than anybody I ever knew at the time. At one point, like solo, singularly by himself, he was doing over like 300, 400 acres, maybe even 500 acres at one time. It was an insane amount of acreage. And that's the route he went. So, it is what it is. That's the kind of the name of the game. It's all about where you feel comfortable. So yeah, that's kind of it. Let's see. We had another one here. I'm doing a bare dirt renovation, and part of the property is a pretty good incline. What if I added 1 pound of perennial ride, that 2,000 square feet, to help hold the dirt in place until the tall fescue and Kentucky bluegrass establishes? You can do that. I don't think it's going to be that much faster than the tall fescue. So if you're already seeding it with tall fescue and you have adequate seed to soil contact, then I think you would be fine with just your tall fescue. Back when we did county projects for stormwater management projects for the county, normally it was just tall fescue, and maybe during the winter you may throw in just a touch of ryegrass because the only reason you would do that is because the contract spec'd it. But in reality, is it going to be that much better? I mean, 1 percentage point better, maybe. And you have to ask yourself, is it worth it for that 1 percentage point? So I wouldn't get excited and feel necessarily just over the top that I have to do this because this is going to be the difference between success or not. I don't think that's going to be the case. What I would be more concerned with is making sure you control the water on the front end to get it up and established and rooted into before you start getting big deluge rainfalls where you are facing the clock against how quickly it can establish versus how quickly it can run away. Look at that. You already kick ass on your permagreen. You hate the belt-driven aspect of it. I promise you that is the part you will thank when you move to hydraulics. That is the part you will come to appreciate because, boy, let me tell you, it can be a wild, wild ride. I mean, it is literally just out of control. There's no such thing as control from that point forward. What is this? I don't know. I don't know what's going on there. Okay, I will deal with that after the fact. Stress said, what is a good warm season tank mix for fall pre-emergence to get different modes of actions? Prodiamine, simazine, isoxaben? Yes, you can do that. Isoxaben, though, isn't really going to fall into that fall pre-emergent category for POA, if that's your main concern. Like, for instance, one of the ones that's out now, and I can't remember the name of it to save my life, but it is a combination of prodiamine, simazine, and a mazaquin, which is Image. So kind of a unique little approach there that you could do, kind of a cool thing. As far as alternative options, you could then move towards your Spectacle. If you wanted to try purely a post-emergent control type approach, you could probably do like Monument, and followed by Revolver, followed by a Spring Monument application would probably be a way to rotate away with that. So, there you've kind of got three different options to, you could do, one season just purely sulfonylurea, or if you want to add some more action to that, you could do a sulfonylurea and a PPOI like either sulfentrazone or SureGuard would be a good one too. Of course, Spectacle is going to be a different mode of action, and combining a triazole and DNA like that would be a good one too. Isoxaben doesn't really make sense there because it's only going to be effective on broadleaf weeds. I'm trying to think, what else could you do? You could do like you could do a mazaquin, metsulfuron methyl, and I said metsulfuron methyl, trifloxysulfuron, and atrazine. You could probably switch to something like that. I don't know. Yes, you can still get atrazine. What else? You could use Pennant Magnum as part of your program too. If the Bermuda goes completely dormant, you can make an application of ethifumicate, assuming you are dealing with completely dormant. Ray said coastal. That was it. Coastal. Let's see. I thought I had some good stuff in here too. Some good stuff. What is the best thing to kill wild violets? So I did an entire presentation on this, Mr. White, and this, broadleaf weed controls is the name of the presentation. It's about 40 minutes, and we kind of go through different studies that show. In terms of fall applications, repeat applications of triclopyr are very effective. And if you want to take it one step further, you could do fall applications of triclopyr in combination with quinclorac. But really, in and of itself, a singular product, triclopyr, was one of the highest performers. And you would do that in repeat instances in the fall. Now, if you're in the peak midsummer, and you're dealing with cool season grass, specifically like tall fescue, you can use one of the new products like Sure Power. Sure Power in the middle of the summer is perfectly acceptable if you are within your temperature restriction during the hot part of the year. So when that plant hardens off, you can make that application, and it will do well for you in the middle of summer. In fact, it's the only thing labeled for middle summer total control of wild violets. But again, you move into the fall. Turflawn ester, triclopyr ester is a good product to go with. Colby, what's up, dude? He said he wishes Stinger would get theirs on the market. I have not seen the Stinger spreader sprayer. I know everybody likes what they're doing. I think I've seen one person complain about, maybe one or two people complain about the equipment from Stinger, and I don't know how valid it is to say one way or another. So it's hard for me to base it off that. So what I'm saying is that only one complaint like that is good. I mean, that's a good thing. I'm looking at the machine here. It doesn't look too terribly different than anything on the market right now. They got some good shields. I like the way they're shielding the internals. I can't tell what kind of engine that is on it. Is that a Briggs engine? Because that I would be out. I'm out. It is hydraulically driven. They kind of have the sideways turns, and it looks like they have buttons on thumb buttons on the rack there. You know, they've got their kind of patented look with their stand-on back deal. So, I mean, all in all, it looks like a fine machine. No belts, no cables, just simple and reliable, they say. A direct drive pump and motor drive system, but again, you know, we're dealing with hydraulics here. So, you know, my big fear always is going to be either one, a leak, or two, handling that damn thing when you're headed downhill. But looks cool. They got the Vanguard engine on it. Looks like they have a 16-gallon tank on it, and it doesn't say what their spray is. Oh, one-touch wide to narrow spray application pattern. There you go. And the other thing about this, too, is that I see a lot. It looks like that whole graphical user interface there, that GUI they have on it, is electronic. I would say get ready to replace those things yearly, as just kind of my initial impression on it. But looks fine. Looks fine to me. If you get one, Colby, let's go ride that thing around and do some craziness. I bet we would have a good time on that. Positive versus negative, skipping overseeding every other year to eliminate the opposing year, alternating the opposing year with preempt. It's totally doable, Chad. And what you have to ask yourself is do you have the density to go along with skipping overseeding? If you've got the density, then what's the real necessity, unless you're trying to get new improved cultivars into your existing stand of turf? You don't have to do it. Why you see it so popular among people in the transition zone, Chad, is that it is very common to lose 10, 20, 25%, 10, 20, 25% of your grass in a given growing season. 10, 20, 25%. So if you're losing a quarter of your lawn, then by all means, you've got to reseed, or you're going to be dealing with a lot of berry areas. A lot of berry areas. And that can be a big problem. You know, you're talking about trying to keep weeds out and all that fun stuff. It's just a total nightmare. I would not recommend trying to go every other season if you're losing 10, 20, 25% of your turf. But if you're only losing 1 to 2%, if you lose 1 to 2%, then you're going to be okay. Because that 1% to 2% is not going to be the difference between you having a successful and unsuccessful season. So in terms of positive or negatives, as long as you have the density, there really is no negative into skipping a year. It's totally fine. So I hope that helps. I hope that answers that piece of it, and gives you a little solace there that it's not a bad thing to do. In fact, it can be a very, very good thing to do. Real quick, I got to take a break. When we come back, we're going to be talking about modes of actions.
You're not afraid to dive into something. You got nothing to lose, but I'm not that way. Taking my sweet time. Don't wanna be the one to cry, but I'm losing my cool, breaking my rules. I don't usually get so out of my head, walking the edge. What am I falling into? I'm here again. Where do we land? Tell me, is it too soon? Losing my cool, breaking my rules.
Hey everybody, this is Hecubus from the Nightcap. I'm just sitting here relaxing within the vault with my friends and a tasty, tasty pint. You should stop by and listen in sometime. I'm here every Monday through Friday, 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern, live only on Turf's Up Radio. Your industry, your station.
Hey, landscape pros, are you tired of digging through rocks and roots and breaking shovels in the process? Then it's time you checked out the Geo Ripper 616. It's a landscaper's dream with the Makita 6 Series 2-cycle engine producing over 4 horsepower of raw performance. The 616 digs deep in up to 16 inches of the toughest soils. Lighting, landscape, and irrigation contractors already love this improved lightweight trencher with its ability to get in and get out faster, easier, and with less ground disturbance. And you will too. This redesigned Geo Ripper 616 comes with 2 heavy-duty digging chains and a whole mess of helpful extras. To learn more about the Geo Ripper and how it can help you out in the field, visit georipper.com today.
Are you a military family with a spouse on deployment away from home? Did you know that nonprofit Project Evergreen has thousands of volunteers across the country ready to help military families with lawn, landscape, and snow removal services? We call it Green Care and Snow Care for troops. If you are a military family and would like to receive this free service, or if you'd like to volunteer to help, visit projectevergreen.org. Project Evergreen, creating a greener, healthier, cooler Earth, 1 yard at a time.
Hey everybody, it's Brooke Ford, host of the Green Veteran here on Turf's Up Radio. Be sure to check me out every Saturday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern. You're going to hear some great one-on-one interviews with green industry professionals. We're going to talk about best business practices, highlight innovative products, and also provide some insight into some new emerging technologies in the field. That's the Green Veteran, airing each Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern. And remember, Turf's Up Radio, your industry, your station.
All right, we're back. We're back on this Friday. Who was there? I kind of wanted to go a deeper dive into this. Yeah, Stress said, is doing different mode of actions the right path for pre-emergence to cover the spectrum? Yes, in a way, if you want to cover the full spectrum, yes. Because you can apply a pre-emergent, and if it's a pre-emergent that's not going to have an effect on a certain weed, you're not really going to build resistance to it because that pre-emergent didn't have an effect on it. So, yes, if you want to cover the whole gamut, you can do that. You can run different pre-emergents, but you can also apply a pre-emergent and a post-emergent at the same time. And depending on the type of post-emergent you control, you might get a little bit of residual action out of it. So if you're dealing with Bermuda grass and you're applying, Spectacle in the fall, and you combine that and you apply Spectacle alongside methylfuron methyl, chances are it's going to be pretty effective in controlling the gamut there. You're not going to have to deal with too many broadleaf weeds. Maybe when you go out again in January, you'll have to deal with a little bit more henbit or hairy bittercress or something like that. But you can make another application of methylfuron and you should be good. So it's kind of one of those things. And then when it comes into rotation, still, the whole idea is that if you can combine modes of actions, especially for post-emergent control, that's going to be how you diversify. For pre-emergence, you hear more about rotation more so than combining. And part of that just has to do with the fact that a lot of the pre-emergents aren't going to be synergistic with one another. So, it's kind of a tough go of it here. And Colby, you asked here about 180-day slow release products, and Ray obviously said he's not going to comment on it because it doesn't fit what he does, and I'll kind of comment on it. You are in Coke country. I forgot you're in Wichita. You are peak Coke country, as a matter of fact. In fact, you probably know people employed there, don't you? By the way, tell them to call me. And so basically what that is on those 180-day products is it has to do with the thickness of that reactive layer they put on the outside. So the way they coat that is they'll take one resin and put it into the blender while they're blending this material, and then they'll add another reactive resin with it, almost kind of like kind of think about epoxy. When you combine those two, it then hardens really well. It's in effect kind of the same thing where you are you're putting one, then you add the other to it, and then you may make like 2, 3, 4 coatings on it to build up, and that's where you'll see like duration 45, duration 90, duration 120, duration 180, like you're talking about in this instance. Now, the caveat becomes that you have to take into account there is that, one, those are only rated up to certain temperatures. So you'll see it as rated as 180 day at 68 degrees Fahrenheit. Well, do you spend 180 days at 60 degrees Fahrenheit? No, you don't. The warmer you get, the faster that's going to release. Now, kind of the second piece of it is it may be rated all the way up to 88 degrees Fahrenheit. Obviously, that's going to be a little more stable, a little more applicable towards the temperature ranges you face. I know in Wichita, though, you've got some days where you get up there super hot. I mean, that's you're going to hit 100 degrees, no problem, I think. Am I thinking Nebraska? I can't remember. I thought in the Midwest, y'all have some crazy, weird, hot days. Those polymers, they can be effective. And then, okay, so the other part of it too is that you have to understand that for a long period of time, that's not going to release at all. And then the last piece of it is if it's not going to take the place for how much N you need over a given period of time. So if you need 3 pounds of N and it's going to release over 180 days and you have a 180-day growing season, then you need to apply 3 pounds of N in a single application. Does that make sense? Because it's going to slowly release over that 6 months. And if you only got 6 months of growing season, then your first one, you got to go out with 3 pounds of N. And that's going to be expensive. That is going to be expensive. So, you have to take all of those into account when choosing to do that. As a general rule of thumb, I would say 10% of that 180 day is just going off to fudge factor and unpredictability. I would say another 10% just to be careful. So now you're back down to about that 150, 145 days, maybe even 130 days would kind of be more accurate. So I would plan on it in that. So if you wanted to break it apart into 2 applications, you could do that and apply 2 pounds of N at one time or 1.5 pounds at one time. Look, the Sports Turf King right here. 180-day products last around 135 days. Then the second piece of it that you have to take into account is how long it's going to take before it starts eliciting an actual response. So, you're talking about sustained color there, then that could be one of those things where you take a U-Flex or a U-Max and combine it alongside your 180-day nitrogen product. So we'll say you're applying a 20-0-10, and you took 5% of that 20 and made it from U-Max, and then the rest of the 15% of that 20 comes from your 180-day, and you're applying it at 5, 10, 15 pounds 1,000, something like that, or 10 pounds 1,000, then you're still getting, a half pound of quick release to get your color up, and then you're getting your next pound and a half from that ultra slow release availability. Now, the piece about that also becomes complicated. Sorry, we're adding layers of complexity here. The next piece of that becomes complicated is that your K isn't going to last that long either. So you can try and front load it up in as high CEC soil as you have in your area. Chances are it would hold on to a fair amount of it, kind of deal. But what you may actually want to consider too is actual polymer coated potash to use in that blend as well too, to try and get that length and residual release of potash at the same time. So that way you don't smoke through your potash on the front end or lose it to leaching or runoff or whatever the case may be. And then you're dealing with potassium deficiency the rest of the way. But I also think that you may be naturally high potassium soils too. So there was a lot of different variables I had to fit in there to make that all work and think through it. But, those are just all, lots of things to kind of put in play. So, whew, man. Kind of take you many different ways. Yeah, we're talking about polymer coated potassium. Harold's does. Who's the other one? I think I can. No, it's not. Who does the XRT Knox fertilizer? Has a potassium. Has a polymer coated potassium. And I want to say Rainbow Plant Food has one. I don't know why I'm thinking that. I could be wrong. I'm totally going down the road somewhere else. So there's options out there to make it work, but don't just narrow down on the nitrogen piece of it. You got to look at it from the total picture. So there you go. Kind of a lot to take in and dissect and put before you. Then the last piece of it too is how much is that going to cost? I mean, that could be a very expensive application because your cost per unit of N, as you start moving into that 180 day, so you may be at $1,500 a ton at that price. I think that's bulk actually too. So, So you're basically paying 75 cents a pound there, and you're getting, let's see, 23.8, probably something like that. Oh golly! So you're only getting at 760 out of a ton of fertilizer, you're getting 760 pounds of actual nitrogen, and that's going to be, I mean, that's so you're talking about basically $20 per pound of N. That's expensive. That's expensive. And when you go in to bid on a project like that and say, okay, I'm only making 2 applications a year, but, does it still work out over those 2 applications a year when you're paying $20 per unit per pound unit of actual nitrogen? That's pretty intense. And as Ray said here, your time release P and K. Now there is one more time release P that has come out, and I cannot remember the name of it. And Ryan or Ray, y'all may remember this, but it is a byproduct, or it's a condensed version of biosolids. I believe they're doing some sort of extraction process on biosolids, and it's very high in phosphorus, has a little bit of nitrogen in it, and it also has a couple of micronutrients. It may have a little bit of iron and just a touch of magnesium in it as well. And I cannot remember the name of this product, but it's supposed to. It is, quote unquote slow release product, because I believe it does go through mineralization process in the soil somehow, some way, or it's just extremely insoluble. So only little bits of it are coming available at a time. I can't remember the name of this product, but it's got one of those Sterolite or something like that. Sterolite. I can't remember. But if you could get it blended with that may be another way to do it as well. Struvite, is that what it is? Struvite. Hang on, let me type this in. There was one manufacturer of this Struvite. So it's NH4 MgPO4 6H2O, magnesium ammonium phosphate. This is not mineralizable, I don't believe. But what was the name of that company that was doing this in mass? Man, I cannot. Struvite manufacturer, fertilizer. Let me try this. No, maybe I can search for it by magnesium ammonium phosphate manufacturer. There was some company that was producing Struvite from biosolids, is what they were doing. And I can't find it. I can't believe I can't find this. I actually put in a request with them to get a cost per ton, and I never did figure out what that was. I never did get a price FOB on that. So, but it's another option. And if you look at it, if you look up Struvite as a fertilizer, you're going to see that it a slow release fertilizer for sustainable phosphorus. Recycled sources of phosphorus, such as Struvite, extracted from wastewater, have potential to substitute for more soluble manufactured fertilizers and help reduce the long-term threat to food security from dwindling finite reserves of phosphate rock. This study aimed to determine whether Struvite could be a component of sustainable pea fertilizer management strategy for arable crops. And as kind of the conclusion, they decided, yes, it actually was effective. Now, you have to remember that if you are in a high magnesium type of situation, it may not be a good fit for you, because you're going to end up you're going to end up applying a small amount of magnesium to go along with it. So that's just kind of the nature of it. And then the second piece of it too is that if you need an immediate soluble source of phosphorus to go along with it, you have to apply it with it, because on the front end, it's going to take a minute for this material to become readily available. So what they saw was even in like field crop settings, you needed to go ahead and apply a soluble source with it alongside of it because of the delay in uptake from the struvite. So just options. There are all options out there, and especially when you're trying to make a product that you're only going to be applying twice a year to get, 365 days of performance, or, however long your growing season is, 200 days of performance. You can do that in few applications and get pretty close to awfully effective, and at least have some nice high quality turf out of it. It may not be perfect, but about as good as you can get on a 2 application. There are situations out there that work. It takes a pretty significant amount of money to make that happen, and you have to weigh the pros and cons there. Do you make up that money in terms of ROI through a decline in labor? And then also you have to figure out the other pieces of the puzzle, right? That also being phosphorus and potassium as well. That can be complicated, also expensive, and also difficult to put together. I will tell you right now that there are not many people out there that blend with struvite. Crystal green is what I was looking for. Crystal green. Oh man, the website's down. They may not be in business anymore. Let me see here. Wow. Yeah. That's not good. That's not good at all. Crystal green fertilizer. Let me do it this way. Yeah, I'm not seeing it. Well, that's a shame. Maybe they're just down for maintenance or something. It says there's been a critical error. I don't know. Taurus Ag say they still have it, and that's kind of cool. Anyway, yeah, that's what I got. It's 4% water soluble, 96% citrate soluble. So, yeah, Ryan, I was talking about crystal green, and it is. I don't know a significant amount about it, and Ray is talking here. Magamp, granular magnesium ammonium phosphate. I'm not familiar with this product. I have not seen that. Hawaiianite, they call it. Oh, that's hilarious. Fuku Bonsai president and founder David W. Fukumoto began bonsai, blah, 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 and introducing Hawaiianite, a 532.6, 17 mag, 3 cal, the ideal universal fertilizer. So I'd say they are marketing this. Kiss my grass, Townsend. You have a good one, sir. As far as the bonsai product, I guess it's ideal. I don't know. I don't grow bonsai, but for a tree shrub type fertilizer like that, it sounds good enough. Sounds good enough. So there we go, Colby. I hope we kind of beat that dead horse into the ground and confuse you more than we did actually offer you viable solutions. It's when you're putting together products like this, and I have to say that from a manufacturer and a product development standpoint, to me, that's the most fun that we get into this, because it is you get to really flex the creativity muscle. Bama Sunny, we are shut down right now because we're going through restructuring internally. If you sent an email, we will be getting back to you soon, but doors are closed right now, at least from my end of it. And so it may be another week or so before I can get back to you about that piece of it. I think I remember seeing your email come through, so you're going to have to give me just a little bit of time before I can make that a reality. So we're going through big internal restructuring right now, and chances are, we're going to have to undergo. We basically have undergone a mandatory shutdown for the time being, and we're hoping to get through that as quickly as possible. I don't have any answers yet. I thought I would have more answers today, but of course, The deeper you go, normally there's just layers of complexity that you have to deal with next. And so we are slowly peeling back those onions to get that piece of it finalized so we can continue and resume operation as normal. So that's where we are. It's complex. I hope everybody learned something today. I know, Ryan, I just saw the inspiration for your Halloween costume. That is funny. Old troll man. He's got his water gauge out there doing it big. So I hope everybody took something away from the day today. I kind of have fun answering questions like that. I like that part of it. In the meantime, everybody have a good weekend. It's my birthday, and I forgot about it, but I remembered now. I don't know what I'm going to do. Probably hang out with my wife and just have a general conversation with her. Act like a dad for a little bit since this week has been so aggressively disastrous, I'll say. And don't forget, coming up a little later, we got Hecubus is going to be coming on the air. He's going to be acting a fool tonight. I can just feel it. I feel it in the depths of my soul. He's going to be acting a fool. And don't forget, next week on Monday, we got another episode of Pick the Doc's Brain. So if you've got questions for that, you can head over to thegrassfactor.net. And when you go over to grassfactor.net, you're going to see a contact page. You can submit your questions there. And let's see, on Wednesday, we're going to have a landscaper come on who's going to talk to us about choosing native landscapes to go into your plants. So don't forget that one. That should be a real fun conversation there, putting your landscape plant selection to work for you in sustainable landscapes. So look forward to that as well. Y'all have a fantastic weekend, and don't do anything I wouldn't do. And for everybody left on YouTube and the Twitch sphere, if you want, you can go check out, follow me on Twitch, and he just offered you another platform to look if you like that platform. Of course, I'm going to continue. With the YouTube and all that fun stuff. If you want to become a member of the channel, we get a private Discord where we get down and dirty, and I kind of share some of the research stuff I'm working on. It's kind of a work in progress as we continue to put that together. So it's coming, slowly but surely. But we got that option, and let's see, anything else to announce? Although, am I going to do a birthday stream? I might as well. I mean, it's turning 34. There's no special plans or anything for your 34th birthday. How about that? I'm going to celebrate getting older, fatter, balder, and hurting worse day in and day out. Oh, and having to pee more frequently than I was accustomed to in the past. So, such an exciting time of my life, I promise you. All right. I'm going to go hang out with the fam. Y'all have a fantastic evening. We'll see y'all later.